It began like so many nights before. Friends gathered for a party, laughing, drinking. Some left early, others stayed late, and the carefree energy of youth filled the air. For Madison Nygard, it was supposed to be just another ordinary night.
I wasn't able to give her a ride home. She told me that she had lived right up the road.
But she never came back home.
We drove up to this lady. She's laying in the road. I think she was hit by a car.
Okay.
She got a head injury.
Panic began to spread as her friends realized something was terribly wrong.
We just came up on her.
Is she unconscious?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
What should have been an ordinary walk home had turned into a nightmare no one could explain.
I seen a sheriff's car in my driveway and instantly my heart sank.
As fear gripped the town, rumors swirled. In just a few hours, the town's sense of safety was shattered, leaving the community desperate for answers.
It was heartbreaking that you weren't there for your kid.
In April 2016, 16-year-old Madison Nygard lived with her single mother in Muskegon County, Michigan. Outgoing and energetic, she filled her days with sports, dance, and the company of her many friends.
She was the only child. We were very close. We did everything together. There was a lot of struggles in me being a single mom.
Raised in North Muskegon, Madison grew up in what seemed like a safe community. Quiet streets, farmhouses, and the comfort of small-town life. She was well-liked, the kind of girl who could strike up a friendship with anyone, and soon became inseparable from her closest friends.
From the moment me and Madison met, we were inseparable. We like to do the same things, like not be bored in the house, go outside, and just like enjoy ourselves.
Madison was a very fun, outgoing, friends with everybody kind of girl.
Like most teens, Madison thrived on social media. She lived on her phone and used Snapchat and Facebook a lot. Weekends meant parties, and the teenagers of Muskegon, Grand Haven, Whitehall, and nearby towns all relied on group chats to plan the night's destination. The party chat decided where the night would begin, who would show up, and how to meet up once there. For teens like Madison, it wasn't just a way to make plans, it was the center of their social world. By the time she turned 16, Madison was a regular on that scene. On Friday, April 15th, 2016, she told her mother she was heading to a party. With no curfew and few restrictions beyond keeping in touch, Madison was free to enjoy her night. At the time, no one could imagine the danger that awaited her. That evening, Madison joined friends at a house party. Another close friend who often went out with her had been kept home by strict parents, leaving Madison to go without her. The party seemed like every other. Familiar faces, loud music, the sense of safety that came from being surrounded by people she knew. But just after midnight, police broke it up, and Madison followed the crowd to a second gathering on a sprawling rural property.
It was a big field that we were partying in, so it was probably about half mile to a mile each way to each next residency.
Cars and trucks circled a bonfire in the middle of open fields, and the night carried on. Hours later, as the party wound down, Madison realized she had no ride home. Her friend Jake offered to let her wait in his car until he sobered up.
Me being intoxicated, I wasn't really aware of my surroundings the best, so I kind of figured she knew where she was. And she swore, "I'll be fine, I'm walking right up the road, I'll text you once I'm there, my phone's fine, blah, blah, blah."
But Madison insisted she lived nearby and decided to walk. In truth, her house was 5 miles away. Alone in the dark, with only scattered farmhouses around her, she set out on foot. Madison had her cell phone, but without service, it was useless. Jake was the only one who knew she had left on her own. By early morning, April 16th, Madison was still making her way through the empty countryside. At home, her mother awoke to find her daughter never returned, a small detail that would soon unravel into a nightmare.
She just normally would come home the next day, so if something happened where she wasn't home, when she was supposed to be, then I would obviously call her or message her.
Although Madison had stayed out overnight before, her mother couldn't ignore a chilling memory. Just 3 years earlier, their quiet community had been shaken by another disappearance. On the night of April 2013, a customer walked into an Exxon station and found it eerily empty.
Muskegon 911, where's your emergency?
I don't know if it's emergency. I just got to work. I'm at the Exxon gas station. It wouldn't allow me to pump gas, but I just walked inside. There's nobody. There's a car here. There's another car out front, but it just is very suspicious why there's nobody here. Cashier's supposed to be there, but I don't see anybody, hon. I'm just concerned that nobody's heard or why.
The clerk, 25-year-old Jessica Heringa, was gone. Her cigarettes and a lighter sat by the register. Her purse, coat, and car left behind. Nothing suggested a robbery.
Investigators showed up and really didn't see anything other than just outside the service door, a pool of blood and some what looked like watch batteries and a small little cover, like a battery cover. And that was it.
The case drew state police, federal agents, and national attention. Posters covered the town. Detectives followed the one solid lead, a silver van seen idling behind the store that night, driven by a man with rough features. But despite searches, sketches, and endless rumors, Jessica was never found. For Muskegon County, it was a haunting reminder that danger could lurk even in the safest places. And now, 3 years later, Madison Nygard still hadn't come home from the party. It wasn't the first time violence had shattered the quiet of that rural road. 2 years earlier, in June 2014, another woman had been found on the very same stretch of road where Madison disappeared. A frantic 911 caller reported a body lying in the roadway.
Muskegon 911, where's your emergency?
We came up to this lady. She's laying in the road. I think she was hit by a car.
Okay.
She's got a head injury.
Stay on the phone here with me, okay? I'm going to get some help right out there for you. Did you see what happened to her?
She has a pulse. We just came up on her.
Is she unconscious?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
The victim, 37-year-old wife and mother Rebecca Blech, had been shot 3 times in the head with a small caliber weapon.
What we know from one of the neighbors, they remember seeing her walking down the road in her kind of a workout attire like she normally would.
Her body was discovered just a quarter mile from her house. Rebecca did not survive, and her murder left a scar on the community. Now, 2 years later, another young woman, 16-year-old Madison Nygard, had vanished under hauntingly similar circumstances. As morning broke on April 16th, Madison's mother was still wondering where her daughter had gone when she heard urgent pounding on the door. Outside, a sheriff's car sat in the driveway. Her heart sank. She knew something bad happened to Madison. The last person to see Madison leave the party was her friend Jake.
When I was woken up in the morning, it was by a Michigan State police officer saying that I was a suspect in an abduction.
Officers pressed him for details about where he had been during the night. Jake explained he had stayed at the house, sleeping it off until he was cleared. That was the moment it hit him. Madison was truly gone.
My heart was just broke.
I was just thinking, why? Who? What?
It was something you never want your child or anybody to go through.
I'm Madison Nygard and I escaped my abductor.
Against all odds, 16-year-old Madison Nygard survived an encounter that could have ended in tragedy. As the party wound down and it was time to head home, Madison looked for her ride.
Jake was supposed to bring me home from that party. When it's time for me to go home, his other friend had locked himself in the car with the keys. We did try to wake up his friend in the car and he just was not waking up. At this point, I just want to get home, and I figured I didn't think I was that far from my house, so I thought if I just started walking, I'd be able to figure it out.
Stuck without a ride and not wanting to wait any longer, Madison made the fateful decision to walk home alone through the isolated rural roads. Hours passed, fields stretched endlessly around her, and her phone had no signal. She was lost, exhausted, and desperate.
All the roads looked the same, and I realized I didn't really know which way to go or how to get home.
A van appeared from the darkness. The relief washed over her when the driver offered a ride. Desperate to get home, Madison trusted him, unaware of the danger.
He had asked me if I wanted a lift, and I had told him no, and I asked him if I could just use his phone to call my mother. I was very excited when he had told me I could use his phone. Like, I'm finally gonna be able to get home now. He had told me to just hop in and I could use his phone.
But as soon as she climbed inside, the doors were locked and the windows rolled up. Panic set in. Moments later, Madison revealed that his phone was dead. Realizing she was in immediate danger, Madison demanded to be let out. The man reached under his seat and produced a gun. Though it had an orange tip, Madison did not take any chances if it was a real one.
At that point, I knew I had to get out of his van one way or another. I unlocked the door and I just jumped out. I knew I didn't have a second to spare, so fight or flight kicked in and I just took off.
She ran until she spotted a house with a porch light on. She cried out for help, begging the woman inside to let her in, warning that a man with a gun was chasing her. The woman hesitated, unsure of what was happening, but seeing the terror in Madison's eyes, she finally opened the door just enough for Madison to slip inside. Inside, Madison pleaded for her to call 911. Still in shock, the woman made the call.
911, where's your emergency?
Please come immediately. We have a man that has picked up a girl and he has a gun and he's outside the house.
Okay, we're gonna get help there, okay? Stay on the line with me, okay? Stay on the line with me. Who has a gun?
Well, there was a girl, she just ran up into my yard.
Can I talk to her?
Yeah, here she is.
Inside, Madison was hysterical, crying out for her mother.
What happened?
My mom.
Okay.
I need to go to the hospital. I jump out of his car. Why don't
Okay, do you want an ambulance?
Minutes later, paramedics arrived, taking Madison to the hospital while the van and its driver vanished. In Muskegon, a small town where the past had already shown its dangers, Madison Nygard had narrowly escaped an attempted abduction, a terrifying ordeal from which she would emerge alive, but forever changed. When Madison arrived at the hospital, her mother was informed by the sheriff and rushed to her side. The moment they saw each other, Madison broke down in tears. Relief flooded both of them.
And as soon as I walked in there, she just looked at me and cried and said, "I'm so happy to see you, Mom." It was terrible.
Madison looked battered and exhausted.
She had road rash all down her shoulder area, down her back, all down her side. She was in a lot of pain.
Her adrenaline had carried her through the escape, but now the pain and terror caught up with her. She clung to her mother, finally feeling safe for the first time since the van. At the hospital, Madison recounted the ordeal in detail. She described the van and its driver, a heavy-set man with facial hair. Abductions like this were extremely rare in Muskegon County, a community unaccustomed to random acts of violence against women. The fact that Madison did not know her assailant made the case even more uncommon and difficult to solve. As news of Madison's abduction spread, the community was stunned. Those closest to her were left reeling. She had survived, but the terrifying ordeal was painfully close to home. Although Madison had not implicated her friend Jake, investigators spoke with him to piece together the timeline. Meanwhile, authorities returned to the spot where she had leapt from the van.
Investigators did in fact find two .22 caliber bullets that were unspent or unfired, lying on the shoulder.
It confirmed Madison's account. The man had tried to shoot her, but the weapon had jammed. Following her path, detectives discovered a blueberry farm not far from the abduction site. Its U-shaped driveway was monitored by security cameras. Reviewing the footage, investigators saw a silver van circling the property.
The video was clear enough to notice some very distinct markings on the van itself.
Detectives recognized the van from prior investigations, including the unsolved disappearance of Jessica Herringa 3 years earlier. Evidence began to point to a single individual involved in far more than just Madison's attempted abduction. It was a discovery that would open a Pandora's box, linking past and present crimes and sending shockwaves through Muskegon County. From surveillance footage, investigators were able to identify not just the make and model of the van, but also unique aftermarket features.
There was a satellite radio antenna that had been put on aftermarket. It wasn't something that came standard with the vehicle, but it was quite visible in this video.
Using these details, authorities cross-referenced VIN registrations in Muskegon County, narrowing a list of roughly 32,000 vehicles down to just 20 to 25. While investigators tracked each van owner, Madison recovered in the hospital. She recounted every terrifying moment to her mother. The memory was heart-wrenching, and the fear that her attacker was still at large left her mother in constant anxiety and sleepless nights. Over 2 weeks later, authorities focused on one van and its owner, Jeffrey Willis, who worked for a local manufacturer. When investigators examined the vehicle, they noticed the distinctive features Madison had described, details that set this van apart from others. A photo lineup was assembled. The moment Madison saw his face, she immediately recognized him. Even though she had never met him before, she knew it was him. For the first time, the terrifying puzzle of her abduction began to take shape, and the person responsible was finally identified. Investigators brought Jeffrey Willis in for questioning.
In his interview, he recalls seeing this girl, talking to this girl.
Just sit down, please. Will you please sit down? Okay? Listen, I'm trying to tell you. All right? I'm going to go. We're not here to have a pissing match with you. I got a couple more things to say, and I want you to hear me out, all right?
But he quickly shut down, refusing to answer further.
What do you know about the abduction?
You're thinking that I did is what you're thinking.
You want to know what happened?
So you're saying that I took her? You think I took her?
I might have been up north.
Give me a lawyer.
He never admitted to possessing a gun or committing any crime against her. Still, the mounting evidence, his matching silver van, the photo lineup, and his knowledge of Madison was enough for authorities to secure a search warrant for his home and vehicle. At Willis's house, investigators seized computers and external hard drives. Among the evidence was a chilling computer printout of serial killers.
There was a little tick marker next to in California, they were called the toolbox killers. And they were known for abducting and raping and killing women and having their tools in a toolbox.
Meanwhile, a search of Willis's van revealed a horrifying setup. Inside a large locked toolbox, investigators found rubber gloves, ball gags, sex toys, and a bottle of insulin with needles ready for use. Under the driver's seat, they discovered a loaded Walther .22 pistol. Ballistics would later confirm that one of the bullets matched the casing left at the spot where Madison had leapt from the van, connecting Willis directly to the attempted abduction. One month after the attack, Jeffrey Willis was arrested and charged with the abduction of Madison Nygard. Relief came flooding over her mother when she received the call from detectives.
I got a phone call from the detective, and he had told me that they got him. He said, we got him.
The reality of what could have happened, what Madison had endured in that van, was overwhelming. Willis's van had been equipped with horrifying tools, and the fact that her daughter had survived felt nothing short of miraculous. Authorities soon began linking Willis to other crimes. Surveillance, physical evidence, and witness accounts suggested he was involved in the 2013 disappearance of Jessica Herringa and possibly the 2014 death of Rebecca Bletch. Ballistics confirmed that the Walther .22 pistol recovered from Willis's van had fired the bullets found at Bletch's scene, and evidence from Herringa's disappearance, such as a battery cover from a .22 laser sight, tied him to that case as well. DNA evidence from Willis further linked him to Rebecca Bletch, and a folder on his computer labeled VIX contained files on both Jessica and Rebecca.
It was at that point in time that we knew that we had a serial killer on our hands.
It was someone who targeted women in isolated areas with no connection to one another. For Madison, the realization was chilling. She had narrowly escaped the same fate. The road she had walked, the isolated areas she had crossed, were the same locations where Willis had claimed his victims. It became clear that she had been in the path of a calculated predator who sought young women alone and vulnerable. In October 2017, Jeffrey Willis went on trial for Rebecca Bletch's murder. His attempted alibi failed, and Madison bravely identified him in court, despite her fear of looking at him.
And is the person that did all this to you on that day, April 16, 2016, is that person in the courtroom?
Yes.
Would you point him out and describe him, please?
Right there in the suit and glasses.
And finally, justice was served.
It's the sentence of the court that Jeffrey Willis serve a term with the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of his natural life without parole.
Willis, arrogant and unrepentant, even blew a kiss to the victim's family as he left. By May 2018, Willis was also convicted of the disappearance and murder of Jessica Herringa, receiving 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. Madison's abduction charge never went to court, but her testimony helped lock Willis away for life. Because Madison found the courage to leap from that moving van and escape, she likely saved countless lives.
And I knew life was precious, but you just don't know how precious until you're faced with something like that. And then you just want to hold your kid near and dear forever.
Without her bravery, no one knows how many more women Jeffrey Willis might have targeted. Her actions blew the case wide open and brought his reign of terror to an end. The ordeal changed Madison forever. She became more cautious, her social circles more selective, and she developed a deeper appreciation for life.
My outlook on life has changed. I think I appreciate life more than what I did when I was younger. Before all of this, I had absolutely no care in the world, never been scared of things. I do have anxiety now, and I never ever had that before.
Though anxiety remains, she emerged stronger, determined to rebuild her life and move forward.
If I could say anything to younger girls, just know anything can happen to you and just be cautious and safe. You're not invincible.